What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is week 332 of this iteration of the Voice of the Fans podcast. We got a lot to talk about today, fans. So we're going to get started with this montage like we do most weeks. Haven't seen it in a while, but I'm going to show it to you guys now. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
is
Cam Buford.
Hey, it's Peter Rosenberg. I'm hanging on my man Cameron Buford.
We got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
All we want to see every year are the best two mothers getting in the ring and getting them.
I got some of this for you.
Goodness. For me?
Yeah, just for you.
Think about it like this: the promoter pays the fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works for the promoter.
Okay. So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Can I finish right now? Do you want me to speak or do you want to conduct the interview and answer for me?
What do you
Which one?
What do you think about the type of
Aaron, like I was saying before.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show Voice of the Fan
Oh my goodness!
continues to
I'm in
evolve,
tears.
Come on, you were adding some spice to it.
it is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
Real ones know what's going on, right? Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
I'm not caught up to you guys yet. I do knowing that.
surprised at that, Cam.
Hey, come here. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's Big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sport.
Thank you for making our voice your choice.
If you haven't told your girlfriend about the show, tell her about the show. If you haven't told your boyfriend about the show, tell him about the show. If you haven't told your cousin, your uncle, your grandfather about the show, let everybody know about the Voice of the Fans podcast.
Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do. Yeah.
Here we go. And got my main man, Mr. Eric Williams of Fox Sports. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? How you doing, Cam? Good to see you.
I'm well. Long time no speak to, man. How's the family? How's the weather down there?
Hey, family's good. Thanks for asking. Just, the kids handling their business, continuing their journey in the school, and the weather's great. I think it was 70-something today. Went on a nice hike, got out in the wilderness a little bit, got lost, and then came back home, cracked open a cold one. It's a good day.
Well, apparently you didn't get too lost out there in the 70-degree weather. I'll tell you what, the Northwest is just how you left it, man. 45, 50 degrees. It might have got to 47 today up here in the Northwest. Yeah. But it is what it is, man. This is the freshest air you've ever experienced, I'll tell you that, in all your travels, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't beat where I live here. I do miss, being home in Tacoma and the rain. We actually got some rain last week, so it kind of reminded me of being back home. But then, we got 10 days of sun coming up, which is not like home.
which just snap you back to reality, huh?
That's right.
Welcome on the show, man. It's been a long time that we spoke, and I appreciate you for making time for us, Eric. We're going to get into some conversation today. As you know, we start the show with our numbers game, Eric, with it being March 19th, 2025. This being the week 332 of the Voice of the Fans podcast, so this iteration of the Voice of the Fans podcast. When you think of the number 19, Eric, who come to your mind first, or who wore that jersey number the best?
Yeah, you said 19th, and I was trying to think of maybe Lance Allworth. Is Lance Allworth 19?
Yeah, he was 19 for the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, I was thinking Lance Allworth. I don't think who's the quarterback for the Colts?
Now?
No, back in the day.
Oh, Johnny U.
Yeah, Johnny U.
He did. He wore 19. I had a couple other quarterbacks in mind. Came to my mind first with Bernie Kosar, and then Scott Mitchell made $20 million on one game when he stepped in for Dan Marino.
Yeah,
that was
Scott Mitchell. That's a good pull.
And then the number 32. I mean, there's a whole list of numbers of guys who wore 32. But who come to your mind first?
You know what's weird is I'm thinking Edge for whatever reason. Just thinking Edger and James.
Did he make the Hall of Fame?
Nah, Edge did. Edge is in the Hall of
Fame. Well, there's a few more Hall of Famers that probably more.
There's a lot of Hall of Famers that wore 32. 32 is a very popular number back when we were doing our thing on the field.
Yeah. So
you had to fight. You had to fight over 32. To be honest, if you wanted to rock 32, you had to go through some people.
Yeah, you're right. You or just be that good.
Or be that good. That's right. You had to be that good.
That good. Jim Brown, obviously, Marcus Allen, O.J. Simpson were some of the guys who wore the 32. So Eric, man. Why I got you on the phone? We're going to talk about a lot of different things. I want to get your feedback on the upcoming draft and some of the participants, some of the players coming up in the upcoming draft. But first and foremost, the Sam Darnold era begins with the Seattle Seahawks.
That's right.
How do you feel about that? How long does this era last? And are you confident in Gary Kubiak in getting the best out of Sam Darnold?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about just how he ended up there. I mean, they moved on from Geno. They didn't want to pay Geno what Geno thought he was worth. And they trade him to, Pete Carroll and the Raiders. It's a good landing spot for Geno. I'm happy for him. I think, he can continue to play at the level that he's shown he could play at, which is a Pro Bowl level over the last couple of years. I think, Pete will do a good job of fashioning that offense to get the best out of Geno. In terms of the Seahawks, I understand the move. He's younger. He fits what, Kubiak wants to do in that offense in terms of the, play action, the wide zone. Kubiak's familiar with him. He was in San Francisco when Darnold was there a couple of years ago, so he knows him well. And I think that's important. When you're making changes like this, is having a good idea of, what that guy's personality is like. I think Sam will do great in the Pacific Northwest. I think he fits kind of their culture and, everything that's up there. And so I think they'll embrace him. Not that they didn't embrace Geno, but I think they'll embrace Darnold and kind of, who he is as an individual. And then obviously the contract, it sounds like basically it's $37 million guaranteed in the first year, and then let's see. And so that gives them the ability to get out of it if it isn't a good fit. It gives them the ability to draft somebody too and develop somebody, behind Darnold. Sam Howell's there as well. He's still a young, developing quarterback. Didn't look great in the limited time that he saw last year, but still he's a guy that played a lot of snaps in the league his rookie year, and it's still young, so could potentially develop. And I think he's a good fit for that offense when you look at what Sam Howell does well, which is movement and throwing on the run. And so interesting to see what happens there behind Darnold. But I think bottom line is Mike McDonald got a quarterback that fits exactly what he wants to do, which is play from a defensive mindset, run the football, throw play action off of that, and then hopefully will be able to close out some gains for them. And then he gets a guy that he can kind of build his culture around. I think that was the other thing. And I had a chance to talk to John Snyder at the Combine, and I think one of the things he really emphasized is they need to get back to their culture and the way that they won games early on with Pete. And that was playing from a defensive mindset and running the football. And I think when you see, DK is no longer there, Tyler Lockett is no longer there, you saw some dominant personalities that they moved on from. And now that they can bring some other guys in to kind of emerge and fill that void, Darnold is going to be one of those guys. I think JSN is going to be one of those guys asked to take on a larger role from a leadership perspective. And Devon Witherspoon's going to be another guy on the defensive side of the football that will be asked to take on more of a leadership role. I think Ernest Jones will be a guy because he's the guy calling the plays defensively, another guy that they'll lean on. And then obviously they gave Cooper Kupp a lot of money. And one of the reasons they gave him a lot of money is he's going to be a tone setter in terms of the culture on the offensive side of the football. I think one of the things, having been around Cooper, and you've been around Cooper as well, is you know what you're going to get day in, day out. He's Mr. Consistency. He's going to work hard. He's going to practice hard. And then hopefully he's going to be able to make some plays for them on offense.
Well, bringing in Cooper Kupp, I thought was a good move because obviously getting rid of DK and allowing Tyler to walk, I was kind of questioning that move. But you make a good point with Mike McDaniel and Snyder, this union here that they have, they're trying to get back to the defense side of the ball, focus on the defense side of the ball. Eric, I question bringing in Sam Darnold. This offense isn't like that offense was in Minnesota. So he doesn't have arguably the number one receiving core he had in Minnesota to spread the ball around, move the ball around. Now, running the ball wasn't their first and foremost priority in Minnesota as well. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this once before, Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, I was really high on Kenneth Walker when he got drafted. And he seemed to have regressed over the last couple of years. This going into his fourth year. Now he had the chance, obviously he has a chance to rebound off this season. Charbonnet, I never really thought Charbonnet was that guy, but he did. I have to admit, as much as I was down on him,
he gave him his flowers.
He did perform when he got the opportunity last year. He did perform. I don't know if that was a couple games. I don't want to say one hit wonder because he did it a couple weeks in a row. If that's sustainable, I question that. So I look for them to get and they need explosive back. They need an explosive running back, or if you're going to get a Derrick Henry clone, I'd take that as well. Because Sam said in his press conference they want to run the ball, they want to run the Rockets. Is exactly what he said. Yeah. Well, this running game, you guys average under 3.5 yards a carry last season. I don't see that getting you guys to where you want to getting the Seahawks. I'm talking about getting the Seahawks where they want to be. And then they have the 2Y offense that they're going to try to use. Let's see how effective Sam is with behind the line that is not as conducive as Minnesota's offensive line was, and without the receiver core that they can't target those, they have to sit back and they can't run a press defense because they don't have arguably the number one or number two receiving core in the NFL. I'm curious about that transformation. Sam Darnold, when you have a chance and he's been a journeyman and you have a chance to shine and make your mark, now he's feeling a different level of success that he experienced in Minnesota. I'm interested to see how that translate. And again, with the offense that is not as talented as the one he just left. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, those are all fair questions, Cam. I have a number of different thoughts. First off, this offense is not going to be the offense in Minnesota where they threw it around the yard because, like you said, they don't have the guys on the perimeter to approach offense like that. So in my opinion, this offense is going to be more like what we saw with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. You're going to see a lot of misdirection. You're going to see a lot of motion. You're going to see a lot of deception and trying to fool, defenses. You're right. You're probably going to see some 2-back sets or, some 2 tight end sets, some more heavy formations and try to play bully ball. I don't know if that's going to work with their offensive line or not. That's still to be determined. We'll see, if they have enough athletic guys up front to move the line of scrimmage. We don't know that until we start seeing actual games. In terms of explosive backs, I mean, Kenneth Walker's an explosive back. He's just not healthy. We need to see him play 17 games, but he certainly has enough juice to create explosive plays. It will be interesting to see if he's a fit in terms of their wide zone scheme, because that can be a hard offense to make a transition to. I know when they first got Marshawn and they wanted to run a lot of wide zone stuff, he had trouble at first making those reads that they wanted him to make in terms of pressing the hole and setting the defense up and looking for cutback lanes. If you remember, there was a lot of criticism of Marshawn, the first few weeks that they had him because he wasn't really playing like, we expected him to play like we saw at Cal. And then he kind of got into a rhythm over time. And then he really started making those big runs late that first year he was here. And then obviously the Beastquake thing happened. And then he kind of went on a tear after that. So it could take some time to kind of figure out the running game. Don't forget Kenny McIntosh is part of that group as well. And they like him. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try to bring in another back because they're so focused on running the football. Because they're going to run the football, it's going to take some pressure off Darnold to carry the offense. They're not going to ask him to drop back and throw it 40 times, which I thought was a little unfair to Geno last year. There was so much pressure on him to carry the offense. And I think it's one of the reasons why he had 15 interceptions, because he was just trying to do too much offensively, a lot of drop back, more play action, more rollout. It's going to be like Jared Goff was when he was with the Rams, when we saw a lot of play action used by Sean McVay. I expect to see that. But I think you bring up a great point. They don't really have somebody on the outside to stretch the field vertically. And so I am concerned that teams are going to sit at the line of scrimmage and just force them to see if they can beat them deep. And I'm interested to see what their answer is going to be there.
Well, you bring up Jared Goff. Jared Goff had a Gurley behind him before Gurley's knee injury, really helping him rack up the yards, rushing in and out of the backfield. So this is going to be really interesting, and hopefully they know a little bit better than me what they have going on, because they selected this guy. They essentially handpicked Sam Darnold, because there was a lot of people out there when they picked him. So essentially, they handpicked him. I'm just questioning. You get rid of DK and you get rid of Tyler. Like, I thought that core, that trio, was a really explosive trio that they had. And to move away from those guys,
they didn't win anything. They didn't win anything of those guys.
Well, okay.
So it didn't work.
They didn't win anything. Geno was asked to do a lot, and Geno kind of made that offensive line. I think Geno, being a veteran quarterback, hit some of the stuff that hit some of the holes or hit some of the faults of the offensive line. Is Sam going to be able to do that? Because regardless, they have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. I think they have that's 5 of the top 100 picks. So I would think, I'm guessing that 4 of those picks are going to go to the offensive line. And you find, if you can find your explosive back in the second or third round, I'd go that way. But they're gonna have to focus on that offensive line. How long does it take? And with that being said, how long does it take for that offensive line? Would you, from your experience and all that, Eric? I'm sorry, I didn't give you appropriate announcement, Eric.
No, we're good. We're good.
I feel comfortable with you because I know you. Please let the people know where they can find you on social media and they can find your content.
Sure. Eric Williams. I'm with Fox Sports. I cover the NFL. Covered the NFL for 20 years. You can find me on Twitter at Eric_D_Williams. You can find me on Instagram at EDubNFL, trying to be more active on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky as well. I think it's EDubNFL. I'm not sure the tagline on Blue Sky, but I am on Blue Sky. And then obviously you can find my work at foxsports.com. So that's where you can hit me up.
Thank you for breaking that down. What I'm getting at is they're going to have to focus on the offensive line. How long does it take a team for the offensive line to mold and gel? Obviously, we have spring training camp going through August. That's 4 or 5 weeks there. In the season, are we looking at 3 weeks, or are we looking at October between the new draft picks that they have to mold? Because they're going to have to focus on the offensive line. They're going to have to bring at least 2 or 3 new guys in there to really be the road graders that they're looking for, and to emphasize, if they're going to emphasize the running game. How long should they expect that offensive gift for that offensive line to kind of come together and mold themselves?
I'll say this: if you go back and look at their draft history, they don't necessarily just start, picking guys on the offensive line. If you go back and see what Snyder has done over the years, they do it a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's through the draft. Sometimes it's just taking a flyer on guys, late in the free agency period and seeing if you can bring a guy that's going to come in and pot for you. So I think they'll do that. And then I think you got to look at guys already on the roster and see if they are better fits for what they want to do with this offensive line versus what they did with Ryan Grubb. The guy that came in late and played right guard, I can't remember his name. I think it was Samatoa or anyway. He's more of a physical grinder. He might be a better fit for what they want to do offensively in this system versus how they wanted to play last year, which was a lot of drop back, which wasn't his strength because he's not really a great pass blocker. He's a pretty good run blocker. So I think you're looking at the guys that you already have on the roster and seeing if they're good fits for what you want to do, and then asking, your offensive line coach and your OC to coach those guys up, along with bringing in guys through the second and third wave of free agency. And you've seen it. They've had some guys in for visits. See if you can get them on 1-year deals and see if they pop for you. So I just think it's throwing a lot of different ways to get guys in, whether it's, free agency, trade, or the draft. And then it is going to take a while to get 5 guys that you like and get enough snaps together so that you can get them to have good chemistry so that they play fast and they communicate well. The one thing I will say about offensive line play is you don't necessarily need first-round picks to make it work. Look at what the Rams did last year with their offensive line. They gave him a lot of money to Jonah Jackson, and then they traded him because he didn't play well for him. We'll see how he does with Chicago. They played a 6th-round pick at center, Bo Limmer. They were supposed to play Avila there, but they moved him there and it didn't work. So they moved him back to left guard where they knew that he was effective. And then they just gave Alaric Jackson a nice contract. I believe he was a 7th-round pick. So they got their left tackle late in the draft. Obviously, Havenstein's been there for a long time and continues to play pretty good football. So you can put it together in a lot of different ways. You don't necessarily need, a bunch of first-round picks, although you certainly see what the Eagles have done, and it's been pretty effective for them and obviously led them to a Super Bowl. Look what's happening with the Chiefs. They trade Tooney. They signed Jalen Moore in free agency from the 49ers, who was backing up Trent Williams. And now they're going to ask him to be the blindside protector to the best player in the league, and Patrick Mahomes. I'm interested to see what that's going to look like, who they're going to have at left guard. So their offensive line isn't great, really. And they played in the Super Bowl last year. So it's hard to get the offensive line correct. You need to hit on a lot of different areas to make it work. But I feel like, with the Seahawks going back to what was effective for them early on in Snyder's tenure, I think they have a chance to get things fixed.
Well, they do have extra draft picks, and you're right. You don't have to. They think the Chargers, Johnson was a 6th-rounder who ended up playing. He had to come in because of injury, but he never relinquished his starter position once he actually got some playing time. So you're right. You don't have to be a first-rounder, but I would expect them to. I think that's a need, a heavy need of theirs.
Oh yeah, they're going to draft. They're going to draft a couple guys for sure.
Yeah, to get that linebacker, to get that lineman right. I think they need I draft a running back just to take the pressure off of Donald. Just
Genty?
Well, Genty's not going to be there by the time they drafted 20, right?
Move up and get him.
Jenny's a little small for us to move up to something.
hey, scoring touchdowns is pretty important, huh?
Scoring touchdowns is very, but that's an explosive back. If they can move up and get him, that's an explosive back that they can get.
You're right, though. I mean, I was at the combine last week, and all those running backs were running fast. That was the one thing that really jumped out to me, and they're all rocked up. I mean, they're 210, 220, 225. A lot of big running backs that were running fast and explosive. And you could look at the 2 Ohio State backs. I thought they were really impressive. Obviously, the guy from North Carolina, ran fast, and he's like 220. He's a truck. So you can get a good back, I think, especially in this draft because it's so deep at running back. I think you could wait to day 2, day 3 and get a guy.
Yeah, I would suspect that's about where they go. Speaking of those Eagles, how are the Eagles? Are they just better at the cap than everybody else? Because they just paid Lane Johnson, gave him an extension for $30 million. Are they just better at the cap than everybody else? Is that where they're at right now? Is that their advantage?
I don't think they're necessarily better at the cap. I just think they do a great job of paying the guys that are most important and holding on to those guys and just managing it. And, people talked about it. They're paying these guys a year early instead of waiting until they get to the final years of the deal, like the Cowboys have unfortunately done.
The Cowboys is what I was
And they end up paying more for those guys. And then I think the other thing that maybe people don't talk about enough is when the organization is good and you have a good team, guys want to stay there. And so maybe guys are more willing to take a little less than they would get on the open market just to be comfortable and stay in a place where they know that they have a chance to win year in and year out, and they're being treated well, and respected. So I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah, there's a value in that, being treated well. As we all know, just in work life experiences, if you're treated well, you probably stay a little longer.
Sure.
What do you think, DeMarcus Lawrence? Now, DeMarcus Lawrence, they signed DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, he was with the Cowboys for over a decade. He was part of the team that gave up the 45 points to the Packers in the playoffs a couple years ago. What do you think he brings to the Seahawks?
Obviously, I think he brings a guy that can consistently win on the edge, which is important. I think he brings leadership and experience. When you talk about a guy that's been in the league that long, I think most importantly, he brings a guy that's motivated. He's been in a place that, they're America's team. They're supposed to be, up in it and have a chance to win every year, but they've been unable to do that. They haven't, won a Super Bowl over 30 years. So you get a guy that I think will have some urgency to how he plays. And, your D-line's already pretty good when you think of some of those guys on there. Obviously, you have Chinna coming back of injury. Leonard Williams has played really well. Murphy, I thought showed flashes as a rookie. They get Jaren Reed back. Mafe, has showed some flashes as an edge guy. So you have a nice rotation of players on the D-line. And I think one of the things, when you talk about Legion of Boom, we always talk about Sherman and Cam and Earl Thomas, right, Liam, those guys were great players. But the reason they were great is you had Michael Bennett, you had Cliff Averill, you have Brandon Mebane. Like, you had dudes up front. Chris Clemens was one of the early guys that were creating pressure. So you don't have those backing guys that are able to make plays if you don't have guys up front making it happen. And I think when you look at Seattle and that defensive line, they're finally getting back to having those aggressive dogs up front.
Yeah, it all works together. In last season, I think it was before the season started, if I remember correctly, you did say there was a Legion of Boom-ish in the secondary. Did that come to fruition as you anticipated?
Probably not to the extent that we're going to talk about some of those guys that are going to end up in the Hall of Fame. I thought they were better, though. I thought they played a little more consistently in the back end. And I think a lot of that has to do with the coach. I think, we saw it in the second half of the season. They won 6 of their last 8 games. They gave up, I think, a little over 18 points a game during that stretch. And so they kind of hit a nice little rhythm defensively where they were playing, sticky, in terms of their coverage. And then obviously they were getting after the passer. So obviously it wasn't to the level that we saw from back in the day from those Legion of Boom guys, but I do think it was better, and I expect that to continue to improve.
A couple other things I want to get to you with is speaking of the Cowboys and DeMarcus Lawrence, the Cowboys, should they trade Marcus or Micah Parsons? Would you consider trading Micah Parsons instead of running up your salary taxes and paying luxury taxes? Would you consider trading that and getting some pieces? I mean, do you anticipate the Cowboys making it to the NFC, being contenders in the NFC next season?
No, I don't. But I don't think you can be in the business of trading your best players. I don't think that makes sense, even though you could potentially get a bounty for him. I mean, look at what happened with Cleveland. I mean, he wanted out of there, and all they did was say, we're going to make you the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. And he said, okay, yeah, I guess I will stay. So you have to build your team around, guys that are, generational talents. They drafted him.
Yeah, they drafted him. I'm really not for it, but I think it kind of makes sense. You're overpaying your quarterback. You're overpaying the wide receiver. And again, if they were contenders, there's no way you make that move. But with them not being contenders for the NFC title, I don't even think they're contenders for the NFC East title. You got to do something. All you're going to do is just be drown yourself in debt.
If you're a Cowboys fan and they trade Micah Parsons, why are you going to the stadium? I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are about stars. They're about having, frontline players that their fans can come watch and see play. It would be nice to win too if you can build it like that. But I don't. And Parsons is a guy that makes other people around him better because of.
Does he really?
I mean, people have to pay attention to him, do they not?
Yeah, they do. Maybe it's a comparison to Lawrence Taylor that just had me down on this guy. I didn't make this comparison. I didn't make these comparisons. I've heard it for the last 3 years of how this guy is such a game breaker. And I mean, I just don't see they continue to get smacked around in the playoffs. And then they have a poor season like they did. I mean, to me, what's that worth? In my opinion, again,
who is Lawrence Taylor's coach?
Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells,
pretty good coach, right? Who's coaching? Who's coaching the Cowboys?
Who is coaching the Cowboys?
Brian Schottenheimer.
One of the ex.
Not Marty Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer, who I have a lot of respect for Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach, but that's what I'm talking about. Is you can't really. I mean, yeah, there's similar skill sets, but Lawrence Taylor was playing for a Hall of Fame head coach, and he had a bunch of Hall of Famers around him.
Yes.
I mean, he was surrounded by talent. Mike is not surrounded by talent. They haven't done a great job of building up that team around him so that you can see, the best.
What he can do, yeah. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I'll chalk that up. Should the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers, or should they shy away from Aaron Rodgers? What's your thoughts on this guy?
I would not sign Aaron Rodgers.
If you're the Steelers, if you're the Giants, if you're the Vikings said they're not going to entertain.
If I'm any NFL team, I'm not signing Aaron Rodgers.
Any NFL team, not even the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm not signing Rodgers. I think he's a culture killer.
I truly believe that, but then
Aaron Rodgers is about Aaron Rodgers.
He is. So what was the hoopla? You thought it was just a lot of hot air for the Jets to sign him last year and then bring over his friends Valdez Scantley and then go get Adams?
I think the Jets wanted to win. I mean, that it was a desperation move for a franchise that's struggled to make the postseason. So I get it. I mean, I understand why they made the move to bring him in. Unfortunately, it didn't work. And now he's going through the same thing of, seeing what teams will be interested. Obviously, I think he wanted to play with the Rams to begin with, but Stafford ended up staying, and so that he had to cross them off the list. And then he obviously thought the Vikings would have been the next best place, and he's right because they're set up to win now. The Vikings smartly said we're good and are going with J.J. McCarthy. And then, now it's Steelers or the Giants. If I'm the Steelers, I'm trying to trade for Kirk Cousins, man. I would rather deal with that. And
I guess that makes sense.
Patch it that way, and hopefully you find lightning in the bottle with the guy that has shown that he can lead a team if he's healthy. You have Rudolph there, Mason, who's played winning football for you, helped you get to the postseason 2 years ago, and then I think you draft a guy. I don't know if it's Jalen Milroe or the guy from Louisville is a guy that a lot of people are talking about. Chuck, it looked really good at at the combine.
You like Milroe? You like Milroe? Is he going to be a viable NFL quarterback?
I think any of these guys, you're just kind of taking a shot in the dark, and hoping that somehow you're able to develop them and coach them to a point where they can be successful and potentially lead you to where you want to be. I mean, nobody thought when the Eagles took Jalen Hurts in the second round that he would be leading them to two Super Bowls. I mean, did you see that? I mean, I didn't see that. I mean, he wasn't even brought in to be the starter.
Jalen Hurts had didn't he win the Heisman with Oklahoma? He was a Heisman, or he was
I think he was a Heisman Trophy finalist. I believe.
Yeah, he was in a running for the
obviously
Heisman.
won a national championship with Alabama, where Tua came in and kind of saved the day.
Yeah, for him to get benched in Alabama, go to Oklahoma, and have that again runner-up. He was a Heisman in a conversation for a Heisman. That was a good season. Now, did I expect that from the Eagles? Not necessarily. He's done better. He's played better than I think most people would anticipate it from him. But that Milroe's not even in the Heisman conversation.
No, I'm not comparing Milroe to Jalen.
That's all I'm saying. I don't know. And
what I am saying is,
Bama, man. I was in Bama a couple of years, and I saw him closely, and I did not see. I just kind of had this little argument on Twitter. He'd go undrafted. I wouldn't draft him. He'd go undrafted.
Okay.
I don't see it. I didn't see it. I thought he was the best running back Alabama had over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And
I get it.
Would I expect him to be a running back in the league? Not necessarily. Is there some things he can do on the field? Absolutely. Am I going to draft him to be my quarterback? No, I'm not. I'm not sure. He's probably a little bit better than Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. A little bit better, but I mean you're still.
So we're on the same wavelength with Anthony Richardson. I mean, I think Daniel Jones was brought in to be the guy there because he struggled. That said, Anthony Richardson's 8-7 as a starter, so he has a winning record. But I mean, you're right. I mean, he has proven that he's a franchise quarterback. I think Milroe is better than Richardson right now. But you're right. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the league, or if he's ever going to develop into that. We saw what happened with Trey Lance. Trey Lance didn't work out in San Francisco. Hasn't worked out in Dallas. Has a lot of talent. It hasn't reached his full potential yet.
Yeah. Okay. When you speak of Richardson, and let's just focus on Richardson and Trey Lance, is that coaching or is that personal or not? Players just getting better. Which would you land that on most? Is it more player ability or coaching?
It's reps. Neither one of those guys have played.
Oh, that's fair.
I mean, I think Richardson played 13 games when he was in college, and that Lance might have played less than that. I mean, one of the reasons that people in the NFL attribute Purdy to being successful was he played
4 years.
50 games. I mean, played a lot, and so reps matter. I mean, so that's why when guys are coming out now they're looking to see how much did they play. When Russell came out, Russell had played a lot of football, both at NC State and Wisconsin. So it showed he had a certain poise and way that he carried himself. Like the moment wasn't too big for him because he had already been in a lot of very tough situations. You can't really say that for Anthony Richardson. You certainly could say that for Trey Lance because he played at North Dakota State. So I think when you've seen these quarterbacks come in now, Dylan Gabriel is a good example of that. He's played at 3 different schools. I think he's played over 60 games. He didn't look as good as some of those guys that he was throwing against in the combine, but you put on his tape, he won a lot of games. So that might be somebody that you look for.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I want to ask you I'm going to ask you about these young quarterbacks coming into the league as well. But where does that put Russell? If you're thinking the Steelers should go try to trade for Kirk Cousins, where did that put Russell at? Does he go in New York?
Yeah, I think he's going to be. I would imagine he's going to the Giants. I know that was the place he was interested in going before he joined the Steelers. Last year, he actually took a trip to New York and then went to Pittsburgh after that. So there's interest by him and there was interest, from the Giants. So I think he makes sense as a bridge quarterback to come in and start. And then they could, decide if they want to draft Shadur Sanders or if they want to wait later and get somebody like Jackson Dart or, Quinn Ewers, whoever they think is going to be the guy that eventually takes over for Russell. But I think Russell, they have to also win now. I mean, they kind of have to do both. They're under a lot of pressure to figure things out quickly based on, not getting Daniel Jones and moving on from Barkley.
last offseason proved that you and I can probably be NFL executives. What they did last season, man.
Wasn't great. No, it wasn't great.
So what do you think about? You mentioned Shador, but you didn't mention Cam Ward. What's your thoughts on these two guys?
I think Cam is the guy that has better upside because of his physical tools, and the way he plays. He's got some swag to him. He's obviously got some athletic ability. Ball jumps out off his hand, and as a guy that proven he could carry a team. When you see what he did with Miami in that organization, also did it at Washington State. So I think he's the safest pick at number one. I think if you're the Titans, you go up and he's your guy that you're going to build around. And then we'll see what happens at two. If Cleveland is going to be interested in Shador, or if they're going to take Carter or Travis Hunter, and Shador potentially drops down the board a little bit. But I think Cam's the clear number one and makes sense for Tennessee.
Now, Tennessee has shown that they have trouble identifying quarterbacks. They took Levitz. They took the kid a year before Levitz, and they haven't been able to figure out. Do you think this new regime can get it right this time?
You can go back to Mariota.
Well, yeah.
Go back to Marcus Mariota. I don't know. I mean, a lot of things have to go right for the quarterback to pop. It's coaching. It's building around the quarterback. It's the quarterback, putting in the time so they be successful. It's having the right scheme. It's the quarterback staying healthy. So a lot of things have to happen for the quarterback to be successful. It's not just draft the guy and then throw him in there and hope it works. So yeah, I think they have a chance to make it work there in Tennessee. I'm blanking on the guy's name that was there with the Titans that passed, that played at Alcorn State. Steve McNair.
Yeah.
So they got it right in their past. Tannehill played winning football for them, who I believe they got in a trade or either released from the Dolphins.
He was released and picked him up. Yeah.
So they've had moments where they've had quarterbacks that have been successful there, but you're right, more times than not they've missed on guys. I think Malik was the guy that they traded to Green Bay.
Yeah, and I mean they drafted Malik, and then the very next year, they went and got Will Levitz, and then he hadn't panned out, and now they're turning around. They're throwing it all in again. So it'd be interesting. I mean, maybe Cam can be the guy that turns it around and right the ship there for them. Just a few more questions for you, but I got one big guy that's on the board here is Travis Hunter. What's the word out on Travis Hunter? Do you expect Travis to be a better cornerback than receiver, or better receiver than cornerback?
Yeah, guys I talk to around the league see him as a number one lockdown corner that could also play a little bit of offense. But it was interesting hearing the Cleveland Browns GM talk about his skill set and say that he thought he was a better offensive player because of his ball skills. And he's not wrong. Like, his ball skills are elite. And so if you have a receiver that can win 50-50 contested catches like that and also catch it and take it to the house, I mean, that's valuable, especially with what receivers are making right now. When, guys are making 30, 35 million. You saw what Jamar Chase got paid, and obviously Justin Jefferson, and, DK, they handed them the bag. And so if you look at it from that perspective, and the fact that as a corner, they can throw the ball to the other side of the field and just take you out of the game, and you can't impact the game. I think it makes
or
sense.
They can run the ball at you. And
yeah, I mean, Travis will tackle you though. I mean, from what I've seen, he doesn't shy away from contact. So I don't think that's going to be the issue. The issue to me is if he's on one side of the field and you can't, have him impact the game as a perimeter player, you're going to move him inside and have him play slot. Like, how would you use him defensively to make sure he has the most impact when you're, spending that much on that high of a pick? And that's why I say maybe you do play him on offense and then you make him
give him a package on defense.
You make him a sub package player on defense. Maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's going to definitely be interesting to see how they use him, whoever drafts him, to see how they use his talent. I think it'll be very interesting. I personally think he's going to be a better defender, a cornerback. I would, if I had the personnel, I'd put him at the slot and kind of lock that guy up. And then, I think it's easier. We talked about the pass rush, working with your cornerbacks a little bit easier. Or your pass being a tandem, your pass rush working with the cornerbacks and not allowing the quarterback so much time. I think putting him on the slot receiver, I think really shuts down a lot of what you'd be trying to do on the offense. In my opinion, I see him as better, but his ball skills are incredible. That's why I put him on the cornerback. So maybe he can get a couple interceptions. And
be around the ball a little more. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I would try to do. A couple more questions for you. Should the tush push be banned? I know somebody sent in a petition to ban the tush push. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I believe it was the Green Bay Packers that submitted that petition. No, I think it's petty. I mean,
you think they're just being petty?
It's football. Figure out how to stop it. They're using it within the rules that are established right now. If you don't like it, figure out a way to stop it. And they're the most effective team at doing it. The Bills have tried to do it, and obviously, Josh Allen's 6'5", so he can't get low enough. Yeah. So it's unique. You have an offensive line that's built to do it, and then you have a quarterback that can squat 600 pounds. So you're just taking advantage of the skill set of your personnel and using it the most effective way that you can use it. So, to try don't get in the third one.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I mean, it's football. I mean, you have to figure out a way to stop it, in my opinion.
The overtime rules. That was another suggested change. Change the overtime rules to 10 or 15-minute quarter. Should they adopt the college football overtime rules? Which do you like best?
Yeah, I think with the overtime rules, they're just trying to make it consistent because they do it one way in the playoffs, one way in the regular season. And so I think it makes sense just to have it be consistent the entire time. I don't think you should play in the playoffs one way and in the regular season another way.
Well, so you didn't give me your answer there. That was a good evasive way to evade my question, though.
I think they should play the way that they do in the postseason, which is each team gets a chance to touch the football. And then once that happens, then the next team that scores wins, unless you score a touchdown, I believe, on the opening drive.
Yeah, if you score a touchdown on the opening drive, the game's over. But you're saying both teams should have a chance to touch the ball. Either way it goes. Okay, that's fair. That's fair enough. Who are some of the players, since you've been talking to the owners at the owners meeting and you was at the scouting combine, who are some of the hitting players or the hidden talent in this draft that we should keep our eye on?
I think the draft is deep at receiver. That would be, I'll just give you like position groups. I from watching the combine, I was able to go inside and watch the quarterbacks throw and watch the running backs and the receivers run. And so I was really impressed with, how the receivers ran in terms of the 40. In terms of the running backs, I think one guy that's not a hidden gem that's probably going to go in day 2 or day 3 is Cam Buford. The kid out of Arizona State, the running back who obviously ran for over 1,700 yards, was able to get them to the national semifinals in the college football postseason. He's having his pro day March 27th. He didn't run at the combine, so I'm interested to see what he runs in the 40. I think if he runs in the mid 4.5s, I think that's enough for NFL teams to say, you're fast enough. he's more of a physical back than a guy that's going to have that long speed and create a lot of explosive plays running around the perimeter. So that was a guy that, I liked and a guy that I think, you should watch for in terms of the running back position. And I think the tight end position too, is a lot of good tight ends out there that can help teams in terms of the evolution of what we're seeing on offense. A lot of teams are running more 2 tight end sets and looking for a guy that can get down the middle of the defense, kind of like Antonio Gates back in the day. So I think we're going to see some pretty good pass catching tight ends. In terms of position groups, those were the position groups that stood out when I watched.
What are your thoughts on Najee Harris going to the Chargers? Do you like that move? Do you think they gave him a 1-year deal, pretty small deal, if I
1 year, $5 million, I believe,
with incentives. Now I thought he was drafted into the best possible position going to the Steelers when he did, but his career in Pittsburgh was less than I anticipated. In fact,
he ran for 1,000 yards 4 straight years.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question. Is 1,000 yards today what 1,000 yards was 7 years ago?
Well, there's more games,
Right.
so it's not as meaningful as a stat as it was 20 years ago when you had 14 games or 16 games.
14 or 16, right?
But still, 1,000's 1,000. It's a marker that people are trying to reach. If you're a running back. So the fact that you did that 4 years in a row and played every game for 4 years, I think says something. Particularly when you talk about the Chargers and they struggled to have their running back stay on the field. J.K. Dobbins was effective, but he was hurt. So was Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards is no longer there. Dobbins is no longer there. So I think for the Chargers, they just want a guy that they know is going to be there week in and week out. He's going to be the guy that runs in between the tackles, and then I think they'll find another guy that can be kind of the lightning to his thunder.
Sure. I think that would be a good compliment because I think Warren shined when he was running next to Harris or, behind Harris, however you want to put it. Mike Williams going back to the Chargers, I think that's a great fit. What do you think on that?
Great signing. I think Williams and Herbert have great chemistry. Obviously Williams had a tough season last year, with what happened with the Jets and then going to Pittsburgh. The Chargers need another playmaker, for Herbert. We saw that with what happened against the Texans in the playoffs. And he fits kind of what they need, ability to play on the outside, create chunk plays by getting deep. Quentin had a nice second year. Hopefully he continues to improve. And then Ladd looks like the real deal as a guy that can get it done in the slot.
Yeah,
I think they should add a tight end as well.
I like Ladd. He was very impressive last year. What does this say for Keenan? We haven't had very little talk about Keenan. The volume's been really low. Have we seen the last of Keenan Allen?
I don't think so. I think Keenan can still play. I just think he's looking for the right situation and biding his time. He could wait until training camp to sign with somebody. Wait for somebody to get hurt, and maybe that means, more money for him. He doesn't need to go through off-season work. Keenan knows how to play football. So if I was Keenan, I would be patient. He probably doesn't want to go through off-season work. Antonio Gates purposely would be missing off-season, wouldn't show up until, week 1 of the regular season. So maybe makes one of those moves.
As you mentioned, he's a veteran in the game, so he doesn't need those extra reps in practice, if you will. Eric, let the people know once again where they can find you and your work on social media.
Yeah, again, you can find me at foxsports.com. On social media, on Twitter, you can find me at Eric_D_Williams. And then you can hit me up on Instagram as well, EDubNFL. And thanks for having me, Cam. I appreciate it. Good talking to you again.
Man, it's always nice to have you, man. In between your basketball practice and your softball practice and your cooking classes that you're doing, man, it's nice that you can fit in some time for the little guys down here.
Yeah, I'm a Renaissance man. I try to dabble in a little bit of everything.
Nothing wrong with that, Eric. Thank you again for your time, man. And please go check out Eric Williams and his work. Very knowledgeable if you haven't noticed about the game. And so, Eric, thank you. Round of applause for having you on the show, man. Appreciate your time.
All right. Appreciate you, Cam.
Thank you.
Good luck dodging those raindrops.
Yeah, well, I can't do that up here because they're coming fast and furious. Fans, thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans. This is what we try to do: bring you exclusive content from different reporters and different genres around different areas of sports. So we got some good feedback and some good content from Eric. Now we're going to get into some NBA conversation with my man Pavy. As soon as Pavy hits us online, we're going to talk about have you guys ever wondered who would win in a NBA one-on-one tournament? NBA one-on-one tournament, who would win? I've created a bracket, and I want to go through this bracket tonight, and we're going to at least go through the first round of the bracket of who would win in this competition. I think it'd be very interesting, as well as talk about some of the things happening in the NBA, like the Thunder being 9-1. Who doesn't believe in the Oklahoma City Thunder right now? And SGA is going to win the MVP. I think we all agree on that. But who doesn't believe in the Thunder? They're 9-1 right now in their last 10 games, which is pretty impressive. How many of you guys don't believe in the Cleveland Cavaliers? The Cleveland Cavaliers although they lost last night to the Los Angeles Clippers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I believe, are leading the Eastern Conference. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They are a strong representative. I said this when they signed Donovan Mitchell. They have Jared Allen. They have Mobley down low. This allows Darius Garland running the point. This allows Donovan Mitchell to just score. In Utah, they were trying to ask him to score, to facilitate and be the tone setter for everything. Now in Cleveland, they allow Donovan Mitchell just to be the scorer on this team and allow the other guys to play defense and allow Darius Garland to be the table setter. I think that's a great fit for the Cavaliers, and this is why they're having the season that they're having. Again, 8-2 in their last 10. I think this is a really strong outcome. A strong representation for those Cavaliers. Will they beat Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals? I'm not so sure about that, but however, they will get there and put up a great fight. And as I mentioned, the Los Angeles Clippers beat them last night for their 39th win of the season. Now they're 7-3. They're 7-3 in the last 10 games. The Clippers are, and last night we saw Kawhi. We saw a resurgence of Kawhi Leonard that we hadn't seen in a while. He had 33 on those Cavaliers. And last night, Ivica Zubac, another, I think this might have been his 5th or 6th 2020 game this year, 28 points, 20 rebounds. Ivica is playing like a big dog down low for the Clippers. He's been the most consistent. He's the longest tenured Clipper on the team. He's been the most consistent Los Angeles Clipper this season. Again, like I say, I think this is his 5th or 6th 2020 game. They actually robbed him in Memphis of a 2020 game. And the stat line, he had 20 points or 20 rebounds at the end of the game, and then when the stats came out, they took one from him. So it was a 21-19 game. An interesting thing about that game is I asked him how he found out about being robbed of a 2020 game, and that's pretty big in the NBA, especially nowadays. And he said, I was just looking at the stat book, and the stats showed that they took one away. So that was pretty interesting. No, there was no phone call. The coaches didn't tell him. The team didn't give him a heads up. He had to look up the stats himself, and he found out that he was robbed of a 2020 game. So that was Zubac has been very impressive. And here go my guy. Ivica Zubac, tell me what your thoughts on Ivica Zubac, man. Have you seen? Are you familiar with what he's been doing? This I got the Bachelor fans. We got we got to give the Bachelor some time. I mean, he got to get things together. It's late in the night. I'm surprised that we don't see anybody dancing in the background. We got to give the Bachelor some time to get it together there. How you doing, big guy? I can't hear you. You gotta turn your mic on. Yeah, it's early for the Bachelor, isn't it? Well, when he gets it together, we're going to talk about the Clippers and Zubac and what he's doing and where the Clippers going to finish in right now. I think they're in a play-in tournament. They're number 8 or 9. Last I looked in the play-in tournament. One interested to know, can they climb out of that play-in race? There you go. You got me?
Yeah. Hey.
What's up, big dog? How you doing?
I'm good, bro. You?
I'm well. Let the Mr. Bachelor, let the people know where they can find you, man. I know most of the people are listening to the show already know where they can find you, but for those that don't know, where can they find the Bachelor?
And you can find me on Twitter at Pavy World, Pavy World, all one word. I make music, so go stream that. And yeah, man, excited to be on here and talk to you about the one-on-one tournament and the other things that you said.
I haven't heard nothing recently, man. I haven't seen no videos out.
You ain't been paying attention then. I just put a song out like 10 days ago.
Well, that's fair.
That means you ain't been paying attention.
Life has been lifing for me up here in the Northwest, man. So
respect.
I'm just trying to keep the show going, keep building content for the audience. But I got to get back on it, Pavy. Thank you. I appreciate you for joining me. I was talking about before you came on. I was talking about the Thunder, and the Thunder seem to be getting some disrespect among their peers in the NBA. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. Do you have confidence in the Thunder coming out of the Western Conference?
I think you have to. I mean, last year they went to the semifinals and it was like they got like railroaded in the semifinals. They lost to the eventual Western Conference champs. They have the MVP. They have a really, really good lineup. They can play many different ways. I think that when it comes to the Thunder, I think that people just don't like new. You know, when things are just new, that like I remember the Warriors first year, right? Like the way they talked about the Warriors the first year, even after they won, like they had to go 73-9 for people to really take them seriously going into the playoffs that year. So again, I just think that people just don't like new. So because obviously they got to prove it. Same thing happened with Boston. Same thing with Cleveland. Cleveland's playing great, but like people just like, oh yeah, whatever, Cleveland. Like some people still talk about the Bucks because again, you've seen them do well. You've seen Giannis do things.
Do it, yeah.
So like people just hate new. People just don't like new, and when it's new, like the new people got to prove it to you.
Yeah, they gotta do extra. They gotta do extra. Well, these Clippers ain't new. They got Kawhi who's done something. They got Harden who's done something, done a little bit in the past. People always downgrade his playoff production. What do you think about the Clippers being 7-3 in their last 10 games? We seen Kawhi put up 33 last night with Zubac putting up, I think it was his 5th or 6th 2020 game. What do you think about these Clippers? Are they gelling at the right time? Are they coming together, or it's all a facade right now?
I mean, the funny part about it is like, the players are on the court, but not the coaches. The players on the court, but not the coaches not on the court. Yeah, man, I think they're playing good basketball. I think that they can definitely be a annoying team to pretty much anybody you play. But again, the main thing with them that we've been saying forever, literally forever, is just health. If they can just get healthy if they can get healthy and be healthy in a playoff series, beat them as in Kawhi Leonard, like they gonna be trouble for somebody. Like right now, that's the 7th seed. I think that they can move up? Maybe. I mean, you know, the Warriors have been playing really, really well. The Timberwolves have lost 2 games straight, but for the most part, they've been playing good. But if we get a first round matchup between like the Nuggets and Clippers, I would probably pick the Nuggets to win that series, but I don't think it would come without some contest.
Lumps.
Yeah.
They're gonna take some lumps there. Speaking about you mentioned the Warriors, Jimmy. Since they acquired Jimmy, I think they're 12-2 since acquiring Jimmy.
Yeah.
Is this just you mentioned new? But is this just Jimmy kind of on a honeymoon stage right now, where Jimmy, or do you think this is if they get to playoff Jimmy, does that turn the Warriors up that much? Because Clay wasn't. You guys got on me a couple weeks ago when I said Clay was creating shots for others. Jimmy's actually doing that much better than Clay ever had, and Jimmy's getting to the free throw line where Steph and Draymond haven't played with anybody like this before. So it's like, not that they can take a break, but they don't have to do everything to make everything work.
No, I think it's a real thing. Number one, Jimmy's IQ of the game is great. So, you just get those three guys on the court together. Good things are obviously going to happen. And it's about playoff Jimmy. It's good for Jimmy. Like, Jimmy don't have to do all that. We don't need you to do all that, bro. Like, Jimmy in the playoffs can go give you 15 points, 11 boards, and 6 assists some nights. And that's a great night, especially with these guys. So, no, I think it's a real thing. I think he brings an element of playmaking at that position that, like you said, they haven't had. They haven't had a defender like him. Well, they've had Draymond, obviously, but at the wing spot, they haven't had a defender like him. I've always thought that, shout out Clay, but I've always thought his defense was a little bit overrated. I don't think Jimmy Butler's defense is overrated. I think Jimmy Butler's defense historically has been a real thing. So no, I think that this Warriors team, again, man, like when I look even just at the bottom of the conference, right? Like you look at let's say the Warriors fall into the play-in. I'm not trying to play the Warriors in the first round, bro. If I'm anybody, I'm not trying to play the Warriors in the first round. And I think that they can realistically get to the conference finals depending on their route.
Right, depending on who they got to play, who they got to match up against. That makes some sense. Because they are a scary team. And Curry had
Steph is funny as hell. Steph ain't played like this in about 3-4 years.
Right, but so this is where Jimmy comes in. This is a rejuvenation of sorts, sure. if you will, because him and Draymond. Well, he's relied on Draymond to do a lot to get him those open shots, right? And he's running around, running 3-4 miles a game. Now he doesn't have to do all that, like you mentioned. Jimmy doesn't have to do all what he was doing in Miami for them to be good. So if they can just do enough together, that really makes them real formidable. And as you mentioned, that makes them a scary team to meet in the playoffs. So that's a great point by you, Steph. If you think about Steph's career, he had a hesitant start to his career because remember he suffered the ankle injuries 1 year, so he had like about a 3-year, not a head start, but what do you want to saw that he was 3 years behind in his career, right? Yeah. So do you think he just hit for his 5,000 threes, 4,000 threes? It was 4,000 threes that he hit. Does he have another 1,000 in him? Does he have another 2 seasons of threes in him? Yeah, I think it would be 3 seasons in him. Barring
injury, like I think that Steph could play. Steph right now is 36 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, we still see Chris Paul out there playing. Chris Paul 40.
But the game is different though. Chris Paul doesn't run around. He's not running 3 or 4 miles a night.
Yeah, Chris Paul don't run around, but Chris Paul had just as many injuries. Now, granted, they haven't been season-ending ones, but Chris Paul has had just as many injuries, and Chris Paul not the same size as stuff. Chris Paul playing at 40 as a 5'11" point guard.
Right.
At least Steph like 6'3". The man like then got swollen over his over the course of his career, and also the game is different. Like he is just he's running around, but you running around shooting threes, and like he driving to the paint, getting like knocked to the floor every game. You running around shooting threes.
That's facts. That's facts. But that's a lot. He puts a lot of work to get those open threes.
Yeah, for sure. But that's cardio.
Okay, that's fair enough. Do you think Steph has changed the game? He's obviously changed the game. Everybody goes into any gym across America and they try, or shoot across the world for that matter, and try to jack up threes. Do you think he has changed the game for good or bad?
Combination, but I think other people have done just as much damage as Kevin Durant being one of them. Because everybody who's 6'10" want to dribble and shoot, bro. Get your ass somewhere in the paint. Wemby, right? One of my main complaints about Wemby is he want to go out there and shoot threes. He 7'5", but you want to know why he doing that? Because he grew up watching Kevin Durant. Paul George is on it. PG is on the list too. All the kids now want to do really cool moves. Everybody who's 6'8" and slender. PG has gotten people drafted. If you 6'8" slender and got a few cool moves, oh, we draft you. You're gonna be the next Paul George. So there are a few people who have done quote unquote damage. I mean, you can say some people say James Harden. You know what I'm saying? With the way with you know how he played in his prime. You know what I'm saying? So like
draw fouls and everything.
Yeah. So like there are a few people that you can say contributed to the current state of the NBA if you don't like watching the game right now.
So I had this conversation. After we had the debate with Glasses and Thomas. Shout out to both of those guys about Wemby shooting too many threes. I was at the NBA All-Star game, and the way this game. Now you've been there before, and you realize how much of it is a made-for-TV event, right? This one, and I shout out to Golden State. However, this was different. Although I didn't physically watch the game because the way they had the interviews set up after the games, they changed. It wasn't at the weekend. It wasn't such much downtime for the reporters. Now I could have went and sat in my seat and watched it from my seat and fell asleep in between the commercials and everything else. But because the young men shoot up the skills competition. They have you do the skills competition, and the winner went to the press room, and the losers were immediately available for the press conference. So rather than go up to my seat, watch the competition, and come down, I just stayed down, and we kind of watched it on monitors. But that gave me a chance to chop it up with a bunch of different reporters from different areas. And specifically, one of the things I wanted to do, I wanted to talk to Wemby. And so I'm hanging around the San Antonio reporters, and that was their complaint, is that Wemby has not developed a post move in all this time.
A move? You don't need a move. You 7'6". Throw the ball in the basket.
But again, you don't need a move. I'm gonna hold on to this. He needs that hook at the right block, at the left block. He needs a hook. Post up and get the hook. Oh well, he's 178 pounds. He can't really post anybody up. As you mentioned, stand there, get the ball, and just throw the hook in there. You're gonna get fouled. If somebody tried to root you out of there, you're gonna get fouled. But he hasn't done it, and that was one of their frustration, is that he spends too much time on the perimeter trying to dribble the ball and make jump shots when he shouldn't be doing that. That was interesting that they had the same kind of complaint that we had just talked about. I think it was less than 2 weeks before I went down to San Francisco. We had that conversation, so that was very interesting. Just wanted to bring that back to you, kind of full circle.
Yeah, I mean, the man, I've seen games where the man shot 12 threes and hit 3 of them. I swear to God, you can get some better looks, bro.
Well, yeah, definitely he can. And unfortunately, he did suffer the shoulder injury. I found that kind of interesting. As soon as they left San Francisco, he has a shoulder injury and he's out for the season. I found that interesting. But Stephon Castle, I tried to get him to compliment himself. I tried to get him to talk about himself. I tried to get him to brag about himself. He would not do it. He refused. Real humble dude. He just says he wants to play ball and really enjoys the chance that he gets to play with Wemby. I see these guys being a factor in the future. He talked about some of the stuff that he learned from Chris Paul, which is about running the offense, running the game, and just being more aware of everybody else on the court rather than just him, which I thought was enlightening. I look for big things out of those two, but it was really interesting just to hang around with the beat reporters and the beat reporter from the San Antonio Spurs and hear their feedback. And they also, I should have reported this at the time, but they also said they didn't think Pop was coming back because Pop stays in touch with the players, but he also will stay in touch with the media. And then when he stopped contact with the media, they're like, yeah, he probably done for the year. So that was, I should have reported that, but that was very interesting because then obviously after All-Star weekend, they said next week that he's not coming back this year. So hopefully, and then they set De'Aaron Fox down for a week. Now,
no, he's gone for the year.
Well, excuse me, he's gone for the year. You're right. with the surgery on his left pinky. Didn't Kobe play? Wasn't that one of Kobe's
The
claim to
Spurs
fame?
have been committing crimes for the past 3-4 years. Like I said, they have been doing everything they can to give themselves a competitive disadvantage since like 2022, bro. They have been doing wizardry to lose basketball games, bro.
That's hysterical, man. But I just found out. Come on, man, De'Aaron Fox, bro. I love you. I like your game and everything. But for the pinky, bro, take that up, man, and get out there. I'm Pavy. I'm not sure how many jumpers you shot, but a lot of them not coming off your pinky.
They're not coming off your pinky.
Yeah, they're not coming off.
They're not coming off your pinky finger.
Nonetheless, he's down, and like you say, they're doing their best to get another draft pick, another high draft pick, and we'll see if that works to make them guys better. But what do you? One of the talks from being there at the NBA All-Star game, and I was surprised by this, was the face of the league. Who is the face of the league? Who do you see as the face of the league? Now we're even a couple more weeks into the final season.
I think that conversation is just overplayed because, I mean, forget the NBA. We can look at pretty much anything. Who are the new movie stars?
Michael B.
He ain't even new. He was on The Wire.
Well, he was on The Wire, but he wasn't.
He wasn't. Creed. The first Creed was like 10 years ago.
Okay, but wasn't he just in? Wasn't he in the first?
I'm saying, like, name me somebody who came out in the past 5 years, post 2020, who was a new, like, okay, who the new movie stars? Who are the new music stars? Who are the new? I don't think that the world works that way anymore.
Okay.
I think it's very hard to make somebody seem larger than life in 2025. Like, everybody has social media. You see people all the time. You can read people's thoughts. Like, the only time you saw Michael Jordan was when the cameras put him on before the game, where you had to literally see him in real life. Shea, you can see what Shea wearing on IG right now.
Right. That's fair. The internet just made everything smaller.
Yeah, it made everything. Yeah, so
made the world smaller. So
I just think the face of the league thing is kind of like it's kind of a disingenuous question at this point, because pretty much everybody who's the quote unquote faces of things came out like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong in what you're saying. You're absolutely correct. But that was, like I say, that was a question that bounced around the room during the All-Star weekend. Another question that bounced around was who would win in a one-on-one tournament. And that's something I wanted to discuss with you. Hopefully, you had a chance to check out the bracket I kind of put together.
I did check it out, but I need to see it again. I have it here with me right now. Oh, you got it on the screen. Cool.
Bing, 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 bing.
Hold on. Why the fuck is Jeremy Grant on this thing?
Hey, we got to go 60. We got to get 64 players on this team, man. We got to get.
You could have thought of somebody different. Than, all right, fine. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, we got to go. We got to go through 64 players, bro. That's why we got to get Jeremy Grant some love. So what I want to do with you is we just gonna go through the first round and establish first round winners. So this should go pretty quickly, but that's what I want to do with you. So I think we both can agree that Edwards would win this one, right?
100%.
All right, Halliburton or Holiday?
Drew Holiday.
Holiday?
Yeah, because you got to score. You're not gonna score him.
Lillard or Powell?
I'm going Dame Lillard.
You got Lillard on this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Who we got? Booker?
Don't even ask me that. You know who I got. You got to dribble.
Well, hold on. Okay. We're gonna have to have a conversation about these Phoenix Suns, these disappointing Phoenix Suns, while we're at the end of this here.
Got you.
But the Phoenix Suns are very disappointing. Who do you got, Derek White or James Harden? That's a tough one. I
want to say Derek White, but I'm gonna say James Harden. I'm not gonna be disrespectful to that man.
That's actually tougher than I would suspected. Actually, this early in the game, Jaylen Brown, Michael Porter Jr. That's
Jaylen Brown.
That's not tough. Oh, you didn't waste no time at all, huh?
Porter can't dribble.
But didn't he just lead the the Nuggets to a different win. Him and Russell the other night.
I mean, Russell had a triple double when Aaron Gordon had like 40 points. But like, yeah, if you want to say he led them to victory, sure.
Who you got? Jalen Williams and Bam Adebayo. Ooh. I think
I'm gonna go Bam Adebayo.
You going Bam on that one?
Yeah.
As you mentioned, you got to score. Bam's gonna score over. Bam's gonna score over Williams.
Yes.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, but Bam like 6'10" though.
And Williams is 6'8". Williams told me personally, I don't duck no smoke, but Williams, you out in the first round.
Yeah, he cannot duck it.
you out in the first
just
round.
Just because you willing to fight don't mean you won't get beat up.
that's facts. That I think 10-7 up. That's an upset there. Adebayo moving on. Adebayo at 7. Ja Morant and DeAndre Hunter.
I want to say DeAndre Hunter
over Morant.
You got to score.
That's a 15-2 upset. Oof.
You got to score. DeAndre Hunter is 6'9" long. He can score too. It ain't like he's like literally inept. The man is averaging 20 this season.
That was a very good pickup for those Cleveland Cavaliers.
Incredible pickup.
That was a very good pickup. I still don't know why Atlanta sent him to Utah, but I don't know. Who knows what Atlanta
to Cleveland?
Or did I thought he went to Utah first? Did he go to?
No, he went straight to Cleveland.
He went straight
to
Cleveland.
LeVert and was it?
Yeah, you're
LeVert
right.
And
went to
Georgie Dane came over to Atlanta, but they got rid of him because the number 1 pick is a wing, and you got to play him.
Yeah, but Hunter can do so much things on the court.
But like they not winning the championship.
Who? Atlanta?
Yeah,
they're not. Steph Curry and Trae Young, a 1-6.
Curry.
Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Okay. Who we got?
Now this one is tough.
Well, hold on. I have Booker in here twice because I have Booker against. Who did I have Booker against? I thought I had Booker against somebody. Yeah, okay. I have Booker against what you call it. Give me a name to replace Booker. We have to come back to that because I had Booker.
De'Aaron Fox.
I'm sure I had Fox in here somewhere. I'm positive.
Malik Monk.
Oh, Malik Monk.
Why are you doing that to Malik Monk?
No, I like Malik.
But I'm still about to go DeMar DeRozan.
DeRozan, yeah, okay. Yeah. Who we have? Butler and Franz Wagner.
That's a tougher one than what people would think it is.
I mean, because Franz has some size on him.
Nah. I think Butler's a better team player than he is one-on-one guy.
So you have Franz winning this? You got another upset?
I'm not mad at putting Franz over there.
Oof. Franz? Okay. Another upset. Kevin Durant, Chet Holmgren.
I'm going to go Kevin Durant.
Now, again, we're going to have to talk about these disappointing Suns here in a minute. T. Maxey and Evan Mobley. That's kind of an unfair matchup. But
I'm going to go Tyrese Maxey because I think he'll just run by him a bunch of times.
Yeah, younger, more.
No, they're the same age.
Yeah, is it? Are they?
I'm pretty sure they are.
Mobley been in the league like 5 years.
Maxey been in the league like 5 years.
I think 3 or 4.
Maxey was in the COVID. Actually, no. Maxey older than him. Maxey was in. Wait, no. I think Maxey. No, I think Mobley is 1 year older.
Okay. And he went 4 years at USC, didn't he?
No,
Mobley?
that's his. No, that's his brother that did that.
Okay. Paulo and Mikal Bridges.
Paulo.
Who see? There's De'Aaron Fox versus Desmond Bane. I think Fox was that one.
I'm gonna go De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, and then Tatum and Anunoby.
That's a tough ass one, but I'm gonna go Jason Tatum.
That would be these would be a hell of a matchup to watch, wouldn't it?
It would be tough ass one, but again, I'm gonna go Jason Tatum.
Giannis and Sabonis.
Giannis.
That we agree that Giannis will win that one. Jamal Murray,
Where we at
Jalen
right now?
Brunson.
Because I don't see it on the screen.
Okay. Hold on. Let me fix the screen. Thank you. Here we go. Right here. You got it?
Yeah. Jamal Murray or Jalen Brunson?
Yeah. I think that would be a good one too.
It'd be a great one.
But Murray's a little bit bigger. That's why I would go Murray. Yeah, that's why I would go Murray.
Jamal Murray. Why is Rudy Gobert on here? You just want to do this. Fuck is Rudy Gobert on here?
Rudy, he's a 14 seed.
Come on, man.
Three times.
Why is Rudy on here, man? I'd rather you put Book up the fucking yeah, facts. Vucevic on here or some shit, bro. You bogus as hell. Jokic.
Come on, man. I thought you would like to have your boy on there.
No.
Jaren Jackson versus Karl Anthony Towns. That's actually a
really good one.
Yeah, that would be another great matchup.
I think that's a toss-up, but I'm gonna go Cat.
Bro, talk about people won't be excited about this tournament, man.
I'd be excited as hell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell versus RJ Barrett.
Oh, Donovan.
I think that still would be. I mean, these are some great matchups, actually. These are some great matchups. Tell me if I'm getting them wrong. You didn't like Rudy on there. Cade Cunningham versus Tyler Hero.
Cade.
Yeah, I think Cade would do that too. Tyler, something I didn't realize. Tyler's a little douchery. He got some what you call it? JJ Redick in him.
He a white boy from Milwaukee.
Have you
been to Milwaukee?
Have I been to Milwaukee? I have been to Milwaukee. Actually.
To be a white boy in Milwaukee, you might be,
I have been to Milwaukee.
Might be, hey.
No, hold on. What do I do? What I do there? Let me change this. Let me change this banner so we can see a little bit more. Excuse me, fans. Thank you. I'm trying to change the banner. Excuse me, fans. Trying to change. Like where my banner at? Where the overlay? That's what I'm trying to change.
Okay, the overlay. Hold on. You get assets. Right, there you go.
Okay, appreciate you. Now where we at?
We were at Donovan and Tyler Hero. No, we were at no. We had Şengün and Scotty Barnes.
Oof, that's a good one.
I'm going Şengün.
Over Scotty?
I'm going Şengün.
Over Scotty? So do you guys want to remember I told you last season Houston
I didn't disagree with you.
They were a playoff team just on talent alone. Now that they come together, bro, they're second in the West.
I didn't disagree with you, and they're gonna lose first round, but it's all love.
Oh wow, he said first round. SGA and Miles Bridges.
SGA.
Man, this kid has turned into something special, ain't he?
Yeah.
Luka and Julius Randle.
In a one-on-one, Julius Randle.
Because you think
I know one-on-one, bro. I'm not gonna hold you, Julius Randle, bro.
Over
one-on-one, Julius Randle.
Pat, talk to us about it. You gotta explain this one.
Luka got to guard somebody, and Randle, like all Randle do is hoop one-on-one.
Ooh,
that's why that shit don't work in the playoffs.
Ooh. Okay. You said Randle, okay.
Randle, bro.
That works. We're gonna leave it there. Pascal Siakam and Russell Westbrook.
Siakam. Even Russell play hard as fuck.
Size gets him that win?
Yeah.
LeBron James, Zach LaVine.
I'm gonna go LeBron James, but it won't be without contest. Actually, it will be without contest because Bron can guard.
Okay. And then who we got? CJ and Victor. No, hold on. No. Victor and Kawhi.
Kawhi and Zion is a great one. If that's the
thing. That's where we're at.
Kawhi and Zion.
Oof.
That is
a toss up, huh?
I'm gonna go Kawhi.
Because who's on the court more? Who's on the court more?
Literally.
Who's on the court more?
Which one feels the best that day?
That's right.
Which one feels the best?
What do we got? Victor and Cameron Johnson.
Wemby.
Wemby?
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, CJ McCollum.
Anthony Davis.
Okay. What do we got?
Garland. What is it? Jalen Green and Darius Garland.
Yeah.
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green.
Yeah.
Over Darius Garland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Green is more solid. Green is solid. And then Kyrie over Bradley Beal. Now, obviously, this was a healthy Kyrie.
Kyrie.
Yeah. Kyrie's a favorite there. So now that leaves us with the Kyrie versus Jalen Green, Anthony Davis versus Victor, Kawhi versus LeBron. I mean, that's money right there,
That's
right?
a tough one.
Siakam and Randall. These are tough, bro. These get tough. SGA versus Şengün, Cunningham and Mitchell versus Donovan, Cat versus Jokic, Murray and Giannis.
All right, where you want to start it?
I mean,
in the West.
Yeah, who you
Other
got?
side of the bracket.
Yeah, Edward, can you see this? Can
Yeah,
you see
Edwards versus Drew Holiday.
Edwards versus Holiday. Edwards is gonna win that one.
Yeah, but Drew can really guard, bro. But
Yeah,
I'm still gonna go Edwards. But Drew
he-
can really guard.
But he's not gonna score like Ant is.
Drew can score the ball though.
Yeah, but it's when you talk about team basketball, who you talking about? Randall playing 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Holiday plays better team defense
That's
than
fair.
anything else, right?
What? No, Holiday plays great man
One-on-one?
defense.
Lock
Yeah.
him up?
Yeah, but I'm gonna go Ant though.
Lillard and Booker. Ooh, that's it.
I'm gonna go Book.
Yeah, Book might win that one.
Oh yeah, Book.
Harden versus Jaylen Brown. Brown, I think
I'ma
the
go Harden.
size. You gonna go Harden?
I'm gonna go Harden.
I think Brown will win that with the size.
Yeah, but Harden whole career is 1-on-1.
Well, that's facts. That's a good point. Adebayo and Hunter. We just talked about both of these guys.
I'm gonna go Bam.
You like Bam, huh?
Yeah.
You
I'ma
like
go
Bam. Curry and DeRozan. Curry.
I'm going DeMar.
You going DeMar back in the day?
1-on-1, I'm going DeMar, bro.
Ooh, fans, chime in. Where you guys?
I'm
where are
going
we messing up?
DeMar, bro. 1-on-1, like literally just we playing 1-on-1, DeMar, bro.
Over Steph Curry?
Can't run around no screens in 1-on-1.
Yeah, there ain't no screens.
Ain't no screens.
Yeah, you got to come and take it to me. Franz Wagner and Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
You can still see it? You good?
Yeah. That's it.
Maxi and Paulo. I think Paulo win that one as well. Who we got? Tatum and Fox. Tatum, I think the size gets him the victory here.
No, Tatum just got better moves.
Tatum
Tatum is a better 1-on-1 player just in general.
In general?
Yeah.
All right, so who we got? Giannis versus Jamal Murray.
Giannis.
Yeah.
He's gonna run him over the whole time.
Jokic versus Cat.
I'm going Cat.
You going Cat over Jokic?
Cat.
Over Jokic? Because
Playing 1-on-1, I'm going
just
Cat.
1-on-1. Yeah, just 1-on-1. Jokic don't have the team players to
Yeah, I'm going
pass it
Cat.
back. Donovan Mitchell or Cade Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham.
Youth, huh? Where we go? Şengün versus SGA.
SGA.
That's SGA all day. Julius Randle versus Pascal Siakam.
Now this is a toss-up, but I'm gonna go Julius Randle.
You over Siakam?
I'm gonna go Randle.
Over Pascal Siakam?
I think
really?
Randle has probably played more one-on-one basketball just being a U.S. citizen than Siakam has. I mean, not you, because I don't know if he's a U.S. citizen, but I'm just saying I think Randle grew up playing like Randle played like he grew up playing one-on-one
versus Pascal, who's always a team player. I'm riding with that one. I ride with that one. Kawhi versus LeBron.
I'm gonna go LeBron.
Yeah, I think we can bank on LeBron's health for that one. Anthony Davis versus Victor Wembanyama.
I'm going Anthony Davis.
Over Victor?
I'm going AD.
Over. Okay.
I think as it stands right now, AD is a better one-on-one player.
I'm not mad at that. And Kawhi versus Jalen Green. Kyrie versus Jalen Green.
Kyrie.
Yeah. Kyrie, yeah. All right, bro. We're gonna have to say this. This is where we're gonna end it. We're gonna have to come back next week and do the final 2 rounds, and then we got to take some time off to let this soak in and sink. Fans, I want to know where you guys think we went wrong. What do you guys think Pavy went wrong? Not we, Pavy. I'm blaming Pavy. Where did we go wrong? Now tell me, what's your thoughts, Pavy? In all seriousness, what's your thoughts on these disappointing Phoenix Suns? Like we had Dwayne Rankin on a couple weeks ago talking about how disappointing these guys were. What's your thoughts on on these Phoenix Suns and how disappointing they are? You got Devin Booker, prime shooter. You got Bradley Beal, prime shooter. And you got Kevin Durant.
I wouldn't call Bradley Beal a prime shooter in 2025. You got Bradley Beal making too much money is what I was saying about Bradley Beal.
That's been the problem. He making too much money.
Bradley Beal making too much money.
That's been the problem, which is handcuffed the team because they really was trying to get rid of him.
And he has a no trade clause. Not only is he making too much money, he can tell you where the money stays and goes.
Right. What do you think about? What's your thoughts on this team?
I think
what do they do? I mean,
you got to blow it up. I mean, I think that the owner probably, they had a new owner. You want to come in, you want to make a splash. I don't know if he's a sports guy or not, but I mean, getting 3 big name players on the same team, it sounds like what you should do. He played
at Michigan State. He wasn't a star there, but he played at Michigan State.
Fair, getting 3 big name guys on the team sounds like what you should do. And last year, even with all the injuries, like they weren't bad, but I think the Western Conference got better. They've still been hurt this season. Their bigs was always a problem. Like they got Nick Richards now, but Nurk, that wasn't working. Tyus Jones isn't having the year that I thought Tyus Jones would have.
I did too.
I thought that when they got Tyus Jones, this would be honestly a springboard for Tyus Jones to go somewhere and get like 15-20 million next year. That's not going to happen. And you got Coach Bud, and I feel like Bud. I'm not gonna say Bud isn't an offensive mastermind because I saw what he did with those Hawks teams when they won 60 games, but nobody believed in them. But like those Hawk squads, but
he did a few years in a row though. He did that a few years in a row.
Yeah, but I think it's easier to coach that team because you had Horford, you had Corver, you had T was on that team, you had Damari, you had like a bunch of a good mix of role playing guys.
Right.
As like opposed to you got really ISO scorers. Not to say that like now you got ISO scorers. Like most of what KD does, he does in isolation. Most of what Book does it in ISO. So I think coaching that team is different. And they can't guard anybody, which is the main problem. They can't guard no one. KD is probably your best. KD and the rookie Chris Dunn are your best defenders. No, Ryan Dunn. If those are your best defenders, bro, you're not going that far.
Is this a blight on Kevin Durant's career? And I say that because hear me out. He didn't, as a leader, as an alpha, KD's not a leader. We understand that. As the alpha, the guy, the man on the team, they didn't win on OKC. He goes to Golden State. They win. He shine. He shows he can play basketball. He shows you the hooper. That's what that Golden State shows. He can fit into any franchise, right? In any kind of team. Goes to Brooklyn, then ends up in Phoenix, and it doesn't work in Brooklyn. It doesn't work in Phoenix for whatever reason. Obviously, that was that Kyrie situation in Brooklyn where he only played the home games. It was just a kind of a.
His toe was on the line. If the toe wasn't on the line, I know if it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. But if the toe wasn't on the line, they probably win the championship that year.
Brooklyn?
Yeah.
If
the toe wasn't on the line, they probably win the championship that year.
I mean, the toe was on the line. Yes, there's no doubt about that. But then in Phoenix, you expect, again, Kevin Durant has made it clear he doesn't want to be a leader. He just want to hoop. He just want to take it out on dudes. But then that same attitude permeates. Come on, man. We talking sports, bro. Come on. That same personality or that same mentality permeates the Suns, where you get Bradley Beal, who nobody ever thought Bradley Beal was going to be the game changer. He just is a good shooter, and you expect him to be able to be a great role player because he can shoot and because he can get his back.
He was not brought there to be a role player.
He wasn't
brought there to be your third star.
Yeah, but
if you're getting paid $60 million, you better be my third star.
Okay, you want him to be that, but he wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? That's what you want him to be, but he was never a leader. He was never an alpha in Washington, was he? He just happened to be the best player there on a flailing team. And so, okay, if you guys want to keep me here, sign me. Give me the max money, and I want a no trade clause.
I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with like I feel you. I don't think it has anything to do with these guys being you can lead all day, but if the roster isn't constructed right, what am I supposed to do about that?
But Pavy, if you got Devin Booker coming off the NBA Finals, you bring in Kevin Garnett, who's a 2-time champion, and then I give you Bradley Beal. Like, you guys are supposed to make this work. You guys are supposed to
like that, though.
You guys are NBA players. Like, you guys are supposed to make them.
I mean, again, the first year they did win basically 50 games. They got ousted in the first round, but they did win basically 50 games, if I'm not mistaken. Of the last year, they won about 50 games. This year, coming back, I think the Western Conference again is just better.
It's better.
Number one, you have a new coach. Granted, you didn't like Frank. You didn't like what Frank Vogel did. Fine, you bring in Bud. This don't work. I just think that the team isn't constructed very well, and they don't guard anybody, and they don't really have the capabilities to guard anybody. Like I just said, your best defenders are probably Ryan Dunn and Kevin Durant. Ryan Dunn, I rock with Ryan Dunn. He is a rookie.
Right.
And I think he's a late first round pick at that. So it ain't like the man, and not to say a late first round pick can't come in and make it. Yeah. But if you banking on a late first round pick to be one of your best defenders, I don't think it's gonna be too good for you. And then Kevin Durant. So I just think the roster wasn't constructed with much thought, I think. And now you put yourself in the position where like you don't have no picks because you traded all your picks for Kevin Durant, and you probably have to just get off of Kevin Durant and get off a Book because you can't get off of Beal. So you probably got to get off those two and just start your franchise over, which is unfortunate.
So they're not going to get off. And speaking to Dwayne Rankin a couple weeks ago, they're not getting off KD. Or excuse me, they're not getting off Devin Booker. he's the youngest one.
I saw a report today that said there is an 80 to 90% chance that the Detroit Pistons land Book this summer.
What?
Yeah, it came across my timeline today.
Wow.
They said a Eastern Conference exec thinks it's an 80 to 90% chance. And just looking at what K's doing, I think K's gonna have a coming out party in the playoffs where you're probably gonna be like, "Yo, we got like a future MVP on the squad.
Yeah,
let's
somebody. Get him somebody." So they're gonna get Ivy. They're gonna send Ivy to Phoenix.
Probably Ivy. You probably gonna have to send Tobias. I would have to look at the contract situation, but probably Ivy. You might have to send Tobias. I gotta look at the contract situation.
That would actually, I
want Ron Holland just because he's a rookie.
Well, there you go. That would actually breathe some life and give Phoenix some flexibility because then they're not stuck with these high contracts. If that was to happen, I was thinking KD to Houston, and then they can get their pick from Houston. They can get a couple of their picks from Houston, and then they can get some of that dearth of wealth that Houston got. Houston gonna have to come off a couple of those players.
Houston gonna have to come off. I like KD to Houston. I also like KD to Memphis.
To Memphis?
Yeah, I think Memphis is a team that kind of needs a joke.
Need a scoring.
I think they need a joke.
You're not feeling what Ja's doing. That team is doing in Memphis.
I just think that we looked at Memphis as like one of the up and coming squads, right? And I think that with Houston being better, I think that with the like a few years ago, the Grizzlies were to the world what the Thunder are. Now the Thunder have completely surpassed Memphis, so I think that squad just needs even like Ja. Like,
well, that's just because Ja was out and then he was injured. I mean, Ja took his sabbatical and then he had his shoulder injury last year.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying I think other teams have surpassed them. Like they are I think the second seed right now.
No, they're 4
seed. They're 4.
The Memphis is 4. Yeah.
You think they're gonna do anything in the playoffs?
They're one game actually behind Houston, they have 26 losses. Houston has 25 losses.
Who do you think Memphis is beating in the playoffs?
Right now, the 5-4 with the Lakers, and they're not beating the Lakers.
Okay, if they was the 2 seed, who the 7 seed right now? The T Wolves?
No, the Clippers are the 7 seed right now.
They beating the Clippers?
Yeah.
It could be the Timberwolves. They beating the Timberwolves?
No, they're not beating the Timberwolves ain't who the Timberwolves they have rebounded their season nicely, I have to say, because they had a bad start and then they rebounded their season. So they made the season worse something just to get to climb back into the AC, climb back into the playoff. But the Timberwolves aren't as strong as they were.
I agree with you.
Credit you because they don't have Karl Anthony Towns as much. I'm not a huge Karl Anthony Towns fan, but he was good for that team. He was good for them. And they missed that scoring. The DiVincenzo, who they got from the Knicks, hasn't been
having a year that
he hasn't been what Caruso's been.
Conley is 1 year older. I think this is probably one of the worst seasons of Rudy's career.
Exactly. So Minnesota, I'm not scared of Minnesota. But you think they gonna win? I like Nas Reed. I like Ant, obviously. Who they got? McDaniels as well.
Yeah, but McDaniels, who never really took the step that I think that they thought that he was going to take.
Has he been getting the time this year?
Yeah.
Minnesota is kind of took a step back for me this year.
I don't disagree with
weird. It's weird to say it because I'm not a Cat fan. I thought I don't understand why they did the trade. I thought that trade would hinder the Knicks more so than hinder the Timberwolves, but it's hindered the Timberwolves. It's been the exact reverse. He's breathed life into the Knicks and hindered the Timberwolves. I'm surprised by it. So I don't think the Timberwolves are a threat. Memphis, I think, could beat them. I think would beat them. Memphis is not a bad team. I think Memphis is coming off of some of the, I don't want to say an identity issue, but because Ja has been out the last couple of years, we kind of forgot about who Memphis is. Memphis is a good squad.
I didn't say they didn't. I just don't know if I think they have a lot of good players, and I think that I rock with Ja. I fuck with Ja, but I don't know if Ja is like a superstar.
You don't know if Ja's a superstar.
I don't know if Ja's a superstar.
What is Ja Morant if he ain't a superstar in the NBA?
You gonna laugh at me, Steve Francis?
Come on, Pavy.
Steve Francis like a full-time All-Star.
And that's what Ja Morant is?
I don't know.
Just a few-time All-Star?
Bro, I think a bunch of guards have passed him up in the league.
Okay.
Cade passed him up. SGA super passed him up.
Yeah, flew right by him. Yeah. The 2 years out didn't help him. But I don't know that he's Steve Francis now. Come on, you get carried away with it. You're getting carried away there. Steve Francis was never in the conversation for facing the NBA, was he? And
Man,
granted,
the early 2000s, Steve was one of them guys, bro.
He was.
You still got people from that era that swear by Steve Francis, bro.
Jaws passed. He's more than Steve Francis. I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. So those other guys in his sabbatical, while he's away, other guys his game is mature. I grant you that, but I'm not going to downgrade him to Steve Francis.
Okay, but I'm just saying, I don't know if they have one of those guys. So, but I'm with you on like the KD, the Houston thing. I think the Houston thing probably, in theory, makes the most sense if you're Houston. Or
pieces.
And they probably have to trade some of them eventually just because they have too many pieces and they got to trade some of them. But I also think Memphis would be a good destination for it. Memphis
would not be a bad decision. I don't disagree with that. Memphis would not be a bad situation for him. But go ahead. I think Houston would be better to have more pieces.
Fair. I'm fair. I was gonna say Minnesota, but they don't have picks.
Yeah, Houston has Phoenix's picks.
Phoenix's pick, yeah.
And Jabari Smith. When's the last time you heard of him? Heard from him?
I mean, he broke his hand, but he's back now.
Cam Whitmore. Like,
yeah.
You can give him up. I personally asked for Şengün, but I don't know that you're gonna get him.
You're not getting Şengün. You're not getting Şengün, and you're not getting Amen from me. Anybody else? We can have a conversation.
Jalen Green, you gonna give up Jalen Green for?
We can have a conversation.
Jalen Green and Whitmore for KD. You like that?
Yeah, actually.
And again, I mean, I might even ask for Tyree Eason. And with that, you get a pick, and then you can replenish that roster with role players. If I'm Phoenix, you follow what I'm saying?
I'm not mad at that.
That's why I think Phoenix would work. But Memphis, or excuse me, that's why I thought Houston would work too. Memphis, I wouldn't consider that. I didn't think they were that. They have some growing to do. But what are you going to get from Memphis? You're going to get Jalen Wells, Gigi Jackson. That doesn't equal out. You're not going to get Jaren Jackson. You give up Desmond. Well, I guess if I'm getting KD back, I'm Desmond. I see you. What? Sauti Adama. I mean, I'm just looking at the roster.
I mean, like you could call me and ask me about anybody besides Ja and Jaren Jackson if I'm Memphis.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
What other piece of package of players you want?
Yeah, let's talk about it, huh? Yeah, it's all up for conversation at that point, huh?
Yeah.
But they've been. I'm just totally disappointed in what the Suns have done and who they've been since they picked him up. Just this season, it's been really just kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's really disappointing, and I was looking for different ways, and that's why I had the reporter from Phoenix on, Dwayne Rankin, and we were just talking about it. I was like, man, what's been so bad about these guys? Pavy, before we let you go, man, thank you again for chiming in. What do you know about Slick Watts, bro? What you know about Slick Watts?
What's Slick Watts?
Slick Watts, former Supersonics, the legend. He's a basketball ambassador.
I have heard. I've heard. Yeah. Fair.
Okay.
Not much though.
Okay, that's fair. No, he's a Seattle.
The old Sonics legends I know are Jack Sigma, Dennis Johnson, Gus. What is it? Gus
Williams.
Yeah. Gus Wood. I was about to say Gus Ferrall. That is a QB.
The quarterback. Yeah. But you know about downtown Freddie Brown, I'm sure.
I've heard the name, yeah, but am I that familiar with him? No, but I've heard the name. Great nickname.
Yeah, right. So Slick Watts was before all of those guys. He just recently passed away. But I'm just interested. I know you know who, and I know you know pretty much the history of basketball. So I was just getting your feedback on Slick Watts, who again he's just basketball Sonics ambassador up here in the States. So
fair.
Just was getting your feedback, man. But we're gonna have to touch base to finish these brackets.
Let's do it.
Who do you have winning the NCAA? Who you got winning the tournament?
I'm gonna be real with you. I haven't watched a single lick of college basketball. I will pick who I have winning the tournament when does it start?
Final Four.
Literally.
The
Literally.
tournament starts tomorrow. The tournament starts tomorrow. So
when we get to the Sweet 16, I'll tell you who I think gonna win. I have zero idea.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm going to I'll be covering the game this weekend, so check me out on Voice of the Fans on X. I'll have some fresh content for you guys to check out because they have round 2 and round 3 up here. We got Oregon is a number 5 seed, I believe, and Memphis is the number 4 seed. So I'll get to check out Penny and what he does. Any question for Penny?
If I have some, I'll text them to you.
Text them to me. Thanks for your time, big dog. I'll be in touch with you. Really appreciate you coming on. Once again, let the people know where they can find you, and then where they can find your music on SoundCloud as well.
Well, as always, man, you can find me on Twitter at Pavy World, Pavy World, all one word. Obviously, if you're watching this channel, I'm assuming you know we do Hoops and Brews. But if you don't know we do Hoops and Brews, check out Hoops and Brews. Shout out to Cam. And again, you can find all my music. Just type in Pavy anywhere you stream music. It'll pop up. So, yeah, man, appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Mr. Bachelor. Appreciate your time, man. Thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in. I'll holler at you real soon.
My man.
Later. That's my guy, Mr. Pavy World. So, fans, I want to thank you again for being part of the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is super dope. Always to have you guys in. What we're gonna do now, a couple of things that we do special on my podcast, different than other podcasts, is we give you a history lesson, if you will. On this day or on this week back in history, we're gonna run down some lessons for you as soon as I pull up my scripts. So give me a break right here. Again, fans, thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. Something we do it differently than most other podcasts that you hear. As I mentioned, we give you the numbers game at the beginning of the show. We give you this history lesson, and it starts with March 23rd, 1873. Slavery was abolished in Puerto Rico. The act required slaves to continue working for another 3 years, though, but it was abolished in 1873 in Puerto Rico. March 23rd, 1916, often cited as the father of the Black Bride, Jamaican-born Marcus Mosiah Garvey arrived in America. March 18th, 1933, Unita Blackwell, the first Black woman mayor elected in Mississippi, was born. On March 21, 1960, police in Sharpeville, South Africa, near Johannesburg, fired on Black South African protesters, killing 72 and injuring more than 200 in 2 days of violence in South Africa near Johannesburg. On March 18, 1972, the USS Jesse L. Brown was the first U.S. naval ship to be named after African-American naval officer is launched. March 22nd, 2002, Halle Berry won the Academy Award for her performance in Monster Ball, making her the first Black woman to win the Best Actress Award. March 18th, 1973, Pittsburgh Pirates right fielder Roberto Clemente was elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame 11 weeks after his death on a plane crash. He was doing some charity work, in fact, during that plane crash. March 18, 1942, two Black players, Jackie Robinson and Nate Moreland, requested a tryout with the Chicago White Sox and are allowed to work out. March 18, 1968, Wilt, listen to the stat line from Wilt Chamberlain, dropped 53 points, 32 rebounds, 14 assists, 24 blocks, 11 steals in a 158 to 128 win against the Los Angeles Lakers. March 19, 1991, NFL owners strip Phoenix of the 1993 Super Bowl because Arizona does not recognize the federal holiday Martin Luther King Day. March 19, 1995, Michael Jordan sets the sports world on fire with two words, "I'm back," as he came back from retirement sporting the number 45. March 20th, 1980, Defending Mike Tyson defends his championship against Tony Tubbs with a TKO in the second round in the Tokyo Dome as a undisputed heavyweight champion. 2025, former Sonics ambassador Slick Watts passes away at 73, as I just mentioned about Slick Watts. A couple more things, fans, before we get out of here. Alex Ovechkin is now only 8 goals away from surpassing Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal record at 894. He's 8 goals away. This is a record that some people just never thought it would pass or get past. Sebastian Fundora fights this weekend, March 22nd, on Prime Video in Vegas. Sebastian Fundora fights Chordell Booker. Fans, who has the best baseball uniforms? In an article from Bleacher Report, the baseball uniform, I was surprised by this. The Seattle Mariners are finally ranked in the top 10 or something. They have the number 8 jersey, according to Bleacher Report. The number 3 jersey is the New York Yankees. The number 2 jersey is the St. Louis Cardinals. The number 1 jersey in all of baseball, according to Bleacher Report, is previous Oakland A's, now they're Sacramento A's, or soon to be Las Vegas A's, has the number 1 jersey in all of baseball, according to Bleacher Report. Once again, fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is your man, Cam. And as I mentioned, we played a number game at the beginning of the show. We have your This Week in History midway through the show. And then I like to end the show with the quote, fans. This quote I like to end in the show with is to help motivate you guys and encourage you guys to have some confidence moving into the next week. Quitting is never the answer. You are worth it. Don't give up on yourself. That's unknown. Quitting is never the answer, fans. Keep working and plugging away at whatever you got going. You are worth it. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your hopes. Keep working towards it. It's never a good thing to quit. So that's to help just give you guys some confidence throughout the week. I want to thank you again for your time. Thank you again for your time. This is your man, Cam. You can always find my work, my content. Of course, I am covering the NCAAs up here in Seattle this weekend. So be sure to check out my content at voiceofthefans.org or Voice of the Fans on Twitter, or What's Good in Sports on Twitter, actually. You can find my content there as well. Thank you guys for your time. Hope to hear from you soon. And as always, fans, thank you for making our voice your choice.